Lion found an abandoned little girl in the woods. What happened next will leave you in tears. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the dense woods in hues of gold and shadow. The cries of a little girl echoed through the trees, muffled by the rustling leaves and distant roars of predators. She was barely 3 years old, frail and weak from an illness that had plagued her since birth. Her mother, cloaked in shame and fear, had brought her deep into the wilderness and left her at the base of a towering tree. "You're not to blame for this," the woman whispered, tears streaming down her face. "But I cannot bear the disgrace anymore." With one last look, she turned and walked away, her sobs swallowed by the vast forest. As the night deepened, the child's cries grew faint. Nearby, a lion stirred. Drawn by the sound, the majestic creature approached cautiously. The lion's golden mane caught the moonlight as it sniffed the trembling girl. To the astonishment of nature itself, the predator's instincts shifted. Instead of harm, the lion nudged the child gently, as if sensing her vulnerability. The beast lifted her with surprising care and carried her back to its den. The pride, startled at first, soon accepted the girl. The lioness licked her wounds, and the cubs nuzzled close, sharing their warmth. The little girl, who had lost one family, found another in the most unexpected place. Years passed, and the girl, now named Sana by her lion family, thrived in the wilderness. Her illness, once a shadow over her life, seemed to vanish as she adapted to the wild. Living off the land, she learned to hunt, climb, and navigate the dense jungle with a grace that mirrored her lion companions. Her bond with the pride grew stronger each day. The lion, whom she called Majan, became her protector, while the lioness acted as her nurturing guide. Sana grew to understand the rhythms of the jungle. She moved silently through the underbrush, her senses keen and her steps purposeful. Though she lacked human language, she communicated with the lions through gestures and sounds. To any outsider, she appeared as much a part of the jungle as the trees and rivers. One humid afternoon, a group of tourists ventured into the jungle, eager to capture its beauty through their lenses. Unfamiliar with the terrain, they wandered too far from their guide and stumbled into a deep, hidden pit, a trap likely set by poachers. The pit was lined with jagged stones, making any attempt to climb out perilous. Hours passed, and the tourists' cries for help went unanswered, their voices lost in the vast wilderness. As the sun began to set, hope dwindled. Then, through the thick foliage above, a shadow appeared. Sana peered down at them, her wild hair framing her sun-kissed face. Her amber eyes, sharp and piercing, glimmered with curiosity and determination. Without hesitation, she climbed down using vines, her movements swift and calculated. The tourists watched in stunned silence as this mysterious girl, no older than 10, began helping them out one by one. Once the tourists were free, they followed Sana through the jungle, marveling at her agility and confidence. As they reached a clearing, Mayan emerged from the shadows, his golden mane glowing in the dying light. The tourists froze, fear gripping them at the sight of the massive lion. But, to their amazement, the lion walked calmly beside the girl, its demeanor protective rather than threatening. When they finally reached their campsite, the tourists recounted their ordeal to local authorities, emphasizing the girl's bravery. News of the jungle girl spread quickly, and within days, reporters and wildlife experts arrived, eager to uncover her story. Sana, now surrounded by curious onlookers, faced a difficult decision. The tourists and authorities offered her a chance to return to the city, to a life of comfort and education. But Sana's gaze shifted to Mayan, who stood at a distance, watching her with unwavering loyalty. "I cannot leave without him," she said, her voice soft yet firm. Though her vocabulary was limited, her message was clear. "He is my family. He saved me when no one else cared." Moved by her words, the authorities arranged for Mayan to be transported to a nearby zoo where he would be cared for under the best conditions. Though the idea of leaving the jungle pained her, Sana knew it was the best way to ensure Mayan's safety. In the city, Sana's story captivated the world. Dubbed the Lion Girl, she became a symbol of resilience and the bond between humans and animals. She began to adapt to her new life, learning to speak and share her extraordinary journey. Her visits to the zoo were frequent, and each time she saw Mayan, her face lit up with joy. One day, a woman appeared at the zoo. She was older now, her face lined with regret. It was Sana's mother. Overwhelmed with guilt, she sought forgiveness, tears streaming down her face as she recounted the day she left her daughter in the woods. Sana listened silently before placing a hand on her mother's shoulder. "The lions forgave me when I was abandoned," she said. "I forgive you too." Sana's story inspired millions. She became an advocate for wildlife conservation, using her platform to protect the creatures that had once protected her. Though she had left the jungle, the spirit of the lions remained within her, and Mayan, her steadfast guardian, became a symbol of the unbreakable bond between humans and the wild. In her heart, Sana knew she belonged to two worlds, and with each step she took, she carried the lessons of the jungle, of loyalty, courage, and love with her.